We're going to our next video caller. It's Sunil. So I'm going to click in here. Sunil, tell me, what is your question? Let me come over to you right now and go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Rose. First of all, I would like to tell you that I really enjoy that you gave us the opportunity, that you are very approachable. So, thank you for that. So, basically, congestion charge. I wanted to ask you about. You said 6 months that you are going to give holidays for congestion charge, which is greatly appreciated. But what about after 6 months? Will same thing like up to 6 o'clock or 24 hours or 10 o'clock? What are your plans about that?
Okay, great questions. Great questions. Let me just rehash that. And again, I appreciate you, Sunil, for coming in here. His question was about the congestion charge. First of all, I could feel the frustration in your voice, as in the congestion charges are obviously affecting you, affecting probably your income and your family. And so, again, you were very optimistic about the idea of the congestion charge holiday for 6 months. But again, Sunil's asking me a hard question. I appreciate that. What happens after 6 months, Brian? You know, it's okay for them to drop everything to zero, but what happens after? And that's a great question. First of all, let's talk about why we're dropping the congestion charge. Again, it's not like I want more vehicles in here polluting, but what I do understand is I understand business, I understand the economy, and I understand that London is ultimately a place that thrives and only thrives when business is thriving. And so when we drop the congestion charge to zero, we inject commerce into this city, and it needs it so badly. Otherwise, this recovery could take 10 years. So the reason we're dropping it is to get as much footfall into this city so people can spend, we can get theaters open, museums open, restaurants and cafes, businesses open, people back in here doing business to kickstart this economy. I think we could lead the world when it comes to a city getting back on its feet. Longer term, I think we have to look at the congestion charge in two ways. Again, it was originally put into place to manage cars, traffic flow, and emissions in the city. And it's something I'm very concerned about. Again, I've got a Green First initiative that you can go to brianformayor.london and learn about. Like I said, I cycled when I trained for my Ironman race. I ran through Hampstead Heath. I exercise every single day. And so pollution is something that's on my mind as well. And we have to manage the traffic flow that comes in the city. But we can't use, in my opinion, this congestion charge flat tax because it penalizes people too much. And the problem with that and the ULEZ is that some people now are going to be charged an additional £3,000 and £4,000 because of the ULEZ and the ULEZ extension just to get into town. Residents in Richmond are now being told the congestion charge is now going to stop them from moving around. And so it's a fine line between promoting the economy and also promoting the environment. And what we need to do is find a solution. It's not a hard thing to do, but the flat congestion charge is the wrong thing. The 24/7 congestion charge is the wrong thing. And so we're going to have to find a way to scale it back to where it's happening during business hours, where it's affecting people the proper way. And this is the most important thing, Sunil. It has to follow the KPIs we set in place. So as your next mayor of London, when I come up with a policy, I'm not just going to say we're going to have LTNs and that's the blanket policy. And like our transport secretary, it seems to be the majority of people like it. That's not the way you implement a policy. You have a policy and then you have 3-month KPIs, 6-month KPIs, 12-month, 24-month. How are the citizens feeling? What's happening with businesses? What's happening with taxation? What's happening with emissions? What's happening with emergency services? Is it working? And is it overall helping people or hurting people? Because if I kickstart the economy, but you're still busy paying £6,000 in congestion and ULEZ charges, then it's defeated the purposes. So ultimately, is the citizen of London winning is what I want to know. The last thing I'll say on that is this. The reason the mayor increased your congestion charge and extended your congestion charge is because he bankrupted his own Transport for London. And as I said earlier, he did this before COVID happened. It was already going bankrupt because he hasn't found a way to actually run TfL at a profit. I found a way where the TfL can actually run with excess money, which means we won't have to lean on the congestion charge as a revenue generator. Like I said, I spoke with the senior person in TfL who told me, Brian, the congestion charge was never supposed to be used to generate revenue. And that's what's happening right now. And that's why you're feeling the struggles, Sunil. So are you and so many other drivers and people trying to do in business. So we've got to stop that. But again, finding business solutions for London is how we can help the TfL. It's how we can build affordable homes. It's how we can fund our police. It's how we can fund our fire brigade. And it's how ultimately how we're going to get London back to work. So I appreciate that very much. Let me just see if there's a last couple of few comments here. I've got Let me see here. I've got Carrie here on Instagram that says, how can people who live outside of London support you? It's a great question, Carrie. Go to brianformayor.london. You can share our page. You can download our assets. You can get some swag here, coffee cups. You can volunteer to help us. The Brian for Mayor Army is going to start being mobilized next week with our entire volunteer effort. So if you want to volunteer or you know someone that does, share this video, tell them, go to brianformayor.london/volunteer, and you can sign up. We're going to have an entire process to mobilize the citizens of London. So on May 6th, we make this happen. So great question. Thank you. A couple left. I got Devish T on Instagram saying, Brian will be the next mayor of London. I appreciate you, and we believe that too. We really do. We are currently in second place. I think the bookies have it wrong. We should be in first place right now. A lot of them just don't understand what we're doing here on the streets, because why would they? We are running a completely different kind of campaign. We are running a 21st century campaign in the digital world, digitally enabled, and the people know we are going to win, and we appreciate that. A couple more comments here. I've got Lady Aya on Instagram saying, at the moment, it is impossible to make deliveries with a van in London, and while doing deliveries, you get fined, which costs a whole day's work. Lady Ia, I know what you're saying. This is exactly what I'm hearing when I travel to these councils and to these neighborhoods. They are frustrated because the government is taxing them when they're trying to survive in this economy. I promise you, we will solve this problem, and we will continue listening to the communities. LTNs have to be reconsidered entirely, and we're going to do that on May 7th when we become your next mayor. A couple more questions. I got Cam London on Instagram saying, Brian, you are on the ball. You need to be heard. Thank you. Share this video. Let people know. And I got Nick Hubble on YouTube that's saying, hope you get voted in. You're a top bloke. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate you.